Hey everyone, it's Alex and I'm back with another video. It's iPhone season and I have kind of let the hype die down around the releases before I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the new iPhones. And yeah, let's talk about it today. So I've got the iPhone 16 Pro here with me. Just kidding. It's actually the 15 Pro that I've been using for all this year. You wouldn't know that though because it freaking looks the same as last year's phone. And that's fine. I'm not out for change for the sake of change. But the point is, there's a lot to talk about with this phone. And spoiler alert, I don't think it's upgrading to if you're coming from the 15 Pro. But before you click away and decide that you're never going to watch another video again because I baited you into watching this and there's no action control button, whatever thingy, camera control, please subscribe. In the words of Greg, I need to make my mom proud, so please subscribe. So let's put it this way. I don't think it's worth upgrading to the 16 Pro. Not the 16. That's another story. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the 16 Pro, I don't think is worth upgrading to if you're coming from a 15 series, a 14 series. Actually, that's what this video is being filmed on right now. 14 Pro Max cinematic mode. It's still really good. I just don't think there's enough compelling features. Sure, the battery's marginally better. Sure, it has the camera control button implementation on the phone. But from everything I've seen and read and watched, it's not been well received. I think in theory, in concept, it's a great idea to say, hey, what if we had a dedicated button that was capacitive and all these things and could control your camera? Great idea. I think just very poor execution. And again, I've seen them in person. I've gotten hands on them. I just didn't buy one because I don't think they're worth buying. Everything from the placement. I mean, if you have a 15 Pro, 15 series, or anything older than this year, you're going to that little 5G antenna band on there is in the same spot. And so if you can picture that as your spot, your location for the camera control, it's kind of poorly implemented. It's not a great area for landscape. Maybe for portrait, it's fine. But I've seen a lot of people struggling with the swiping gestures. I even had a buddy in person. He just picked one up last week, 2 weeks ago. And he's like, show me the camera control. And he can't figure it out. It's like, he can't switch through things. He's accidentally taking pictures. It's not well implemented. It's creating a problem and a workaround for a solution that already existed. Just tap on the screen to take the picture or change modes. So for that reason, I don't think camera control is well done. And I don't think it's the main headlining feature that Apple says it should be. Apple Intelligence, another story. Again, we'll get to that. But I don't think the camera control is worth it for the camera, for the phone. I think it's a great idea in theory, but maybe they'll do something different with it over time. Maybe they'll give you software just like the action button to be able to remap it. Maybe developers will come out with features for it. Beyond that, I don't really see a use for it. It seems like it'd get more in the way than it would be useful. Speaking of the other headlining feature that is not even on the phones yet, Apple Intelligence. Just big picture, high level, Apple is not the same company that they were even just 2 years ago. The concept of announcing a feature like Apple Intelligence, they did back in May of WWDC 2024. And here we are, it's October 4th, the time I'm recording this. We still don't have Apple Intelligence with the launch of the iPhone 16 series. And that's just crazy. Now, true, it wasn't promised with the 16, it was promised with iOS 18. But we already have iOS 18. We're one solid update into it as of yesterday. And the feature rollout is just not there. Apple traditionally has been, you get all of these features for the same great price. You get all of these features, and this is your price. It's available on day one, and it works out of the box, and it's perfect. Maybe not perfect, but you know what I'm saying. Apple this year has done it different. And I don't know if it's a shareholder thing, a money thing. It usually always is, where they are prolonging the release of this. It's like they were a year behind Samsung, a year behind Google, because they've been implementing AI into their phones across the board. Whether or not you agree with it or think it's right, the point is Apple had to get on the AI train if they wanted to stay relevant and show the shareholders and stockholders that they have something to bring to the table. And so it just feels very rushed. Like maybe WWDC 2025 would have been when they announced it with iOS 19. And then in the iPhone 17 release, that's when you would actually get iOS or Apple Intelligence with the release of the iPhone. I don't know. It just feels like they're very much a year behind in this world, in this arena. And I don't know. it's kind of like the hype was here. The marketing hype is always at 100, and then the delivery is like subpar with this. And that's a bad place to be, especially for Apple. We know how good they are at marketing and giving us all the hype and the features in the world. And you finally get it on day one, and you're just like, yeah, maybe a lot of it was marketing hype, just like the camera control. I think Apple Intelligence is going to be a real defining thing like that. Essentially what they're doing, and John Prosser and Sam Cole actually put this in a great way on the Genius Bar podcast, that they're trading people's trust, customers' trust, for a little more time right now. Because what they're doing is they're selling you a phone with a feature that doesn't exist yet, and that's pretty criminal in my opinion. And it puts a bad taste in my mouth and a lot of other people's mouths. Not to mention the public release of iOS 18 has been a little glitchy, a lot glitchy. I've experienced problems on my iPad. There isn't even, there's just no Apple Intelligence yet. I've been running betas all summer to kind of get early previews of the Apple Intelligence. And it's fine as far as notification summaries. I don't have anything like the Genmoji stuff and all the other features that they promised that were coming. It's just really basic. I have the new Siri, and that's about it. She's not any smarter yet. The notification summaries are fine. Sometimes they're confusing. Some writing tools as I'm writing things. But beyond that, nothing really to write home about. I've actually considered downgrading, going back to the 13 mini. Because of that, I just don't think that the Apple Intelligence right now is the reason to get the phone. Even though it's the one marketing thing that they're pushing this year, it do not buy something on the promise of a future update, especially software update. Basically, they're promising more software. The software so far has been lackluster, and it's been quite underwhelming, to say the least, unfortunately. But that being said, on the software side of things, not worth it. But I think that if there was one compelling area to get the 16 Pro that I'm like, oh man, that sounds good, is the audio, the mic array, the whole studio cinema quality microphones, to literally just be able to like set up a camera like this, push record, and get decent audio. I mean, you're not going to get something as decent as like a studio mic like this one or any other dedicated microphone equipment. But for just an iPhone to record what you want, to get 75 or 80% of the value that you would get out of professional equipment, it's pretty good. It's pretty compelling. But again, I'm somebody that I do this for a living, where I make content and people hire me and I'm filming. If I just show up with an iPhone, it doesn't make sense. The only world that it makes sense for me is if I was strictly using it for YouTube videos. And in that case, I'm like, I already have this microphone set up, plugged in. And so if I can get better sounding audio already, then I'm going to do that versus just using the phone, because that makes a big difference. That and the 4K 120, that is something that I'm like, that would be, that's been probably the most tempting thing, is to say, oh, I could record 4K 120. My Sony a7 IV doesn't even do that. And so that's probably the one area where I've been most compelled to upgrade. But even then, I'm like, am I really ever going to use that? No. I upgraded the 15 Pro thinking, ooh, ProRes log. I have yet to use it. I'm recording this on the 14 Pro Max because it's just that good. And so I just don't think that there's the camera features in these edge cases are really worth it. They're really, I don't really know what kind of an audience they're marketing and promoting to, because the people that are going to use that need studio quality microphone sound, that need 4K 120 recording, they're the ones that already have this equipment to do that. Like we already invested into this to do it properly, because we do it professionally for our jobs. And so all their marketing material, where they're shooting movies on the iPhone and they shoot music videos and stuff, I'm like, it's just marketing hype. And I don't know that like average people like you and me are even going to use that. And especially average people. I see so many average people they have the Pro version of the phone because that's what they have, because it gets you an extra camera and it's better. And it really does not. I encountered somebody yesterday. They're like, oh, I can take pictures, with the 16 Pro, or like I got the new iPhone, so I can take really good pictures. I'm like if I held up a photo from the iPhone from 6 years ago, which would be what, the iPhone 10, iPhone 10R, 10S, and to now, it's like, would you be able to tell me the difference? Depending on lighting, depending on, edit and all that. It's like they are so marginally better year over year. But at the end of the day, it's the same sensor size. It's still 48 megapixel sensor. Physics doesn't change just because the marketing changes year over year. And so the new iPhone camera, I just don't think is compelling enough. For video, yes. For photo, yeah, it's fine. The best camera is the one you have with you. And so I've actually been forcing myself to be more creative with that lately. Like if we go hiking in the mountains and stuff, I'll just bring my phone and try to be creative and see what I can really push and pump out of the iPhone camera. And it impresses me as far as lighting and quality. It does a great job, but it's not a replacement for a proper DSLR equipment. It's more of a hobbyist thing versus a professional thing. And I think Apple's pushing too far into the professional side that like I'm not using this as a professional piece of equipment for my business, if that makes sense. But that being said, all of that around the Pro is not the move this year, I don't think. At least for me, if I had to upgrade, I would go for the regular 16. That one actually is compelling to me. And the only thing really holding me back from buying it is because year over year, it usually the cycle is 15 Pro gets all these features, gets the better cameras, and gets the Pro features. Then next year, the 16 Pro gets more features, and then the Pro features from last year kind of trickle down into the 16, like the base model. Aside from 120 hertz, that's a given, and that's really about it. Always on display, maybe. Sometimes I have it on, sometimes I don't. I've actually been leaving it off lately because I don't know, it's just more calming that way. It actually reduced the motion. I've been using this thing at 60 hertz for a while just to see if I could get used to it. And after a couple of days, I didn't even notice it anymore. I've since turned it back on because I wanted to just do that as a test. It's back at 120 hertz or 80 hertz, I guess, now, depending on the testing that you've seen lately. But I think if I was going to upgrade at all, I would go for just the regular 16 model. That one's been compelling for me. And again, the only reason I would upgrade to that is because this regular 16 does get the audio array, the mic array. I don't know if it gets the 4K 120. I think that's only on the Pro model. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But that's like the only reason I could see upgrading is just for the audio array and the studio quality microphones. But aside from that, and maybe the color. I like the color. I'm kind of ready for a black iPhone again. Not going to lie. Or that blue. That blue looks really good too. But aside from that, I don't think that the 16 is the move this year. Supposedly, there's rumors. I know it's early. There's supposedly rumors around a 17 Air. Go check out Apple Track, Sam Cole, the videos he puts out on that. He's really good at keeping up on that stuff. As far as like a slimmer, more expensive version of the phone, I'm actually most interested in the SE4 coming next spring. If I had to upgrade, I'd honestly probably just go for an SE4. Because I think that's the most value in the smallest, most convenient phone-like package that there is. I think that would probably be the move for me, myself. I know we'll see. We'll see when that comes out. But there's also rumors that the regular 17 version is going to get the 120 hertz display finally. I'm not getting my hopes up for that. If that's the case, then I think that would be kind of the move to go. But we'll see. I quite enjoy the 15 Pro. I have the USB-C. I have the quality of the cameras that I'm looking for. I can take raw 48 megapixel images. Like it's titanium. It's lightweight. It's still smaller because they increased the phone sizes this year. I'm like, this is, in my opinion, the smallest, best phone you can still get. Unless you're going for something like a 13 mini or 13 Pro even. That was kind of peak iPhone. All that to say, there's a reason Apple doesn't sell last year's Pro phones anymore. There's a reason that they're not selling the 14 Pro, the 13 Pro. I think they discontinued the 13 on their site. And so there's a reason why they're not selling last year's Pro phone, because I still think that like this is the best deal, the best bargain, given what you get in the 16 Pro and given the controversy that's been out around the camera control button. I think, honestly, my opinion, you can disagree with me all you want. I think camera control sucks. Just saying it. The software implementation, the overlay sucks. The swipes and the controls when they're announcing that, it's a double tap and a swipe and a double tap and a swipe. I'm like, holy cow, like that's gonna be confusing. I can just imagine my grandma trying to use that, and it's like, this is not the move, guys. This is not the move. And so I personally think it sucks. I hope that I don't think Apple will get rid of it. I could see them just introducing more software options to where you can map it to something else, to something more useful. But we'll see what they do with that. overall, that's been my ramblings and my thoughts around the 16 launch this year. Like I say, I wanted to give it enough time to be able to let everything sink in and digest. And I want to just visually see everything coming in, everybody's thoughts and opinions on it, and kind of what people are experiencing, and to be able to formulate my ideas. Because at first I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. I want to give it a try. And after kind of seeing everything and seeing some in person and trying them out, I'm kind of like, okay, the hype has died down. It wasn't real to begin with for me. I don't think it's worth it, at least for most people. If you had to upgrade, if you absolutely have to upgrade this year, get the regular 16. It's a bomb phone. It's great. The 16 Pro, not so much. That's going to do it for this one. I've been Alex. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.